third dimension. That's just a basic level consciousness to launch into the next levels. And our species is already way up in the fifth, sixth dimension consciously. Our best people. There's this big war trying.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Forgive me, I was having a little bit of Alex Jones. Listen, don't we all wish we had old Alex Jones back? But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking today. We're going to be talking this morning about the first rule of crisis. And are you ready? And then I want to go on to the curious case of William Joyce. Now, I'll explain a little bit more about William Joyce when I come to it, guys. But first, we are going to be talking about not the curious case. We are going to be talking about the first rule of crisis. And ladies and gentlemen, are you guys ready? So what do I mean by the first rule of crisis? Well, and I do talk about this, and I don't think I talk about this enough. Individual, again, it's one of those things like, are you fit? Because I was walking through Asda the other day. Was it Asda? I can't remember. Asda or Morrison's. I was walking through Asda and Morrison's, and I was looking around, and I was seeing a lot of people like massively overweight. And you know what, guys? I think we're all carrying a few too many pounds. But then I started to think, like, how has society got to the stage where we're like eating ourselves into an early grave? I mean, look, guys, if you know me in my personal life, I'm convinced I'm going to hit 100. But like, I don't think people quite understand how important health and fitness really are. And I know it's not one of those topics that people kind of pay lip service to it. But if you're healthy, if you're fit, you will, I can guarantee you will be happier. And these little individual goals, they all start with the first step. So the first step to this, and people are saying, oh, but Sean, I can't do this, I can't do that. It kind of doesn't matter. You need to benchmark what you can do and then build on that. So I don't know, guys, maybe you want to run a mile and you're thinking, right, okay, I'm never going to be able to run a mile. Fine, all right. Walk half a mile and then try and jog. Right, you can't do that. Right, okay, start with walking a mile. You can't do that. Right, start with walking half a mile. Whatever that benchmark is, you need to do that benchmark and you need to continue it. Now, when I go out running, like I did a video on, I don't usually I'm not one of these guys who films myself in the gym. I just think it's totally inappropriate, putting the camera up. I mean, there was some girl filming herself. I didn't realize she was filming herself, but there was some girl filming herself in the gym, a couple of weeks ago maybe, and I walked past and she said, excuse me, you're in my shot. And I looked at her and I got cognitive dissonance. I thought, right, what does she mean shot? Is she a sniper? Is she gonna and I looked and I saw like a little camera. She even brought a tripod in the gym with her. Look, guys, I know we're in 2025. I know we're in 2025 now, but for me, guys, maybe I'm just a dinosaur and I just don't think you should be filming yourselves in the gym. But look, I know it happens. I went out running the other day and I thought, right, while I'm out running, I might as well try and do a couple of videos while I'm out running. It's actually a lot more difficult to do videos when you're running than you initially thought. But just getting out in the open, guys, getting out in the countryside, getting out in the fresh air, going for a run, and however that run ends, you'll always feel better than you did when you started. If you do fitness at whatever level, you're always going to be fitter than when you started. There's no caveat to that, guys. But you just need to keep building on it, and you need to. I saw what's his name? What's the guy's name? The boxer. He just beat that French guy, Dubois. He's Ukrainian. Alexander Usyk. What a great boxer, guys. So Alexander Usyk, I saw him talking about how somebody asked him how he motivates himself. And he says, well, I don't really motivate myself. I discipline myself. And the difference between motivation and discipline is motivation will be, right, I'm going to do this. Let's get up there and let's do it. And you have a mad rush for maybe, a couple of weeks and then your motivation goes. Discipline is like when I tell you guys, get up in the morning and do 10 press-ups. That's discipline. That is literally the definition of discipline. As soon as you wake up, don't go downstairs, don't go to the toilet, don't do anything. Literally, as soon as you get up out of bed, guys, do 10 press-ups, and you will start to become more disciplined. And this is what, and I think if you turn that into, rather than going for rather than spending your money on a McDonald's or a Burger King or whatever fast food restaurant you guys go to, like, go for a run or something. Make yourself fitter. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think there's ever been a scenario, a situation. I don't think anybody has ever said the words, do you know what, guys? I was too fit. I was too fit. I don't think any sports person, any business person, I don't think anybody in the history of history has ever said to somebody really and actually meant it. Listen, guys, you know what? Yeah, on that triathlon, I was too fit. It worked against me. All right, okay. Listen, guys, on that on that holiday we went to, I was too fit. I was too shredded. I was too shredded. All you guys were struggling and blowing, and you couldn't breathe, and I was fine. And it was just, I was too fit. I'm sorry. It didn't really help me out. Nobody's ever said that. And your fitness will help you in lots of different ways, guys. All right, and you really don't realize how important it. Well, maybe you don't, but a lot of people don't realize how important their fitness is. You've got to try and do something that you like. You've got to try and do something that you enjoy doing. But right, guys, let me come on to this now real quick. I'm just going to switch over to where are we, guys? Lord Haw-Haw. This is a bit wild, guys, and you'll see where I'm going with this. Lord Haw-Haw was a nickname applied to William Joyce and several other people who broadcast I can't say that. The German propaganda in the Second World War that begins with N. There's certain words I can't say. Yeah. To the United Kingdom during the Second World War. The broadcasts open with Germany calling, spoken in an affected Upper English accent. Through such broadcasts, the Reich Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda tried to discourage and demoralize Allied troops and the British population. Although the broadcasts were known as propaganda, they often offered the only details of Allied troops and air crews caught behind enemy lines. So this is a guy, right? So this is an English guy. He was in Germany in the Second World War, and he had a radio station, and he used to broadcast with his with his upper British accent. Turns out, this guy named Lord Haw-Haw, his real name was William Joyce, also known as Lord Haw-Haw, was executed by hanging in the UK. He was found guilty of high treason for broadcasting propaganda during the Second World War. The execution took place on the 3rd of January 1946 at Wandsworth Prison. Now, so this guy literally got hung for spouting anti-British propaganda on the radio. Like, he got hung for saying bad things about Britain. Can you imagine if we still had the same legal system now, how many people would be guilty of high treason? Look, guys, and I'm not saying he would, and I'm certainly not saying anyone should be hung, but, using because I've been looking at these laws, and I've been thinking about the Manchester, I've been thinking about the Manchester 2, because we are on the 4th day of that trial. And I've been thinking about all this, and I was thinking, right, what would these guys have been, sentenced with? What would have happened to these guys if this happened, like, in the 50s, in the 60s? And then I came across this guy, William Joyce. So he was hung in 1946 for broadcasting anti-British propaganda during the Second World War. The dude was hung for saying bad things about Britain. You guys can go and research that yourself. His name's William Joyce. And I was just thinking, how many people in the United Kingdom would that, if we applied the same legal standards to those people, you've got these people now coming over to the United Kingdom doing these signs and doing these signs and all the rest of it. What would happen to those people if we were in the 40s, if we were in the 50s? And we really have descended, as as a nation in the United Kingdom, I would say as a nation in the West in general, you know, we really have fallen, guys. We really have fallen. Right, let me jump up and get some of the comments. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we're on now. Can you guys do me a real big favour? Remember, I get banned all the time, don't I? I get banned all the time. Can you do me a favour, guys? Hit the like, comment, subscribe, bell notification buttons, all those things that help this channel grow. And like always, guys, the main thing that everyone can do that really helps this channel out is just share my stuff. Share my YouTube stuff, share my X stuff, guys. All right, it's just a little tap for your buttons, for your fantastic fingers, and it really helps me out. So we are on the third, or is it the fourth? We're on the fourth day now of the Manchester airport trial. It's been absolute carnage. It's been chaos. I'm a little bit unsure what's actually happening. Let me just try and get an update for you guys. Because we understand that one of the guys has been sentenced. Yeah, it really is. There's like I still think there's a media blackout. If we remember yesterday, they did not get into court until 11 o'clock. Right, I'm just going to read this. Right, I'll read this. So this is the official release now, guys, from Manchester. This is the official release from Manchester. I don't know why they're in Liverpool Crown Court. No, I don't know. Maybe they don't have a Crown Court in. I don't know. Maybe they don't have a Crown Court in Manchester. Man convicted of assaulting 2 female police officers and a member of the public. A man from Rochdale, I'm having to look at his face, guys. He's got a very peculiar shaped head. A man from Rochdale has been found guilty of assaulting a man and 2 female police officers. Guys, look, like, he's not been found guilty of assaulting the other police officer, and that's the key where all this is going to hinge, ladies and gentlemen. Mark my words, it's all going to hinge on this. Yeah, found guilty of a man and 2 female officers during an incident at Manchester Airport on the 23rd of July 2024. Following a 4-week trial at Liverpool Crown Court, Mohammed has been convicted of common assault and 2 counts of actual bodily harm. Over the course of the trial, extensive footage was shared with the court that showed Mohammed headbutt a member of the public in an airport cafe. The attack took place in a largely public area and in front of young children, accompanying both parties. Despite claims made to the contrary, our investigation found no evidence of prior threatening or unacceptable behaviour by the victim towards Mohammed or his family. So if there would have been, you know, I don't know, I'm just going to read it, guys. As 3 responding GMP officers, 1 male and 2 female, undertook their lawful duty to detain Mohammed for assaulting for the assault at Terminal 2 car park pay station, they suffered injuries such as concussion, a broken nose, and bruising and swelling. CCTV played to the jury captured Mohammed throwing 10 punches, 2 elbow strikes, 1 kick in a prolonged and violent attack. It was a prolonged and violent attack, wasn't it, guys? A jury convicted Mohammed of assault on the 2 female officers, and his fellow defendant claimed they acted in self-defense against the male police officer. This is where it's going to hinge, guys. This is where it's going to hinge. It really is. Which the jury could not make a decision. We will be working with the Crown Prosecution Service in support of a retrial for these counts. So it does look like I don't know how this is going to work, guys. I don't know whether he's going to go to jail. I don't know whether he's going to be out of jail while the trial continues. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go. I would say there's a strong possibility that this guy flees to Pakistan. An investigation led by a team from the Serious Crime Division was launched. This is the official report, guys. This is the official report. An investigation led by a team from the Serious Crime Division was launched, with officers working diligently and expeditiously I don't know. Through all the moving footage, including CCTV and body cameras worn by the officers, complemented by testimonies of eyewitnesses. Officers were able to track the movement from the passengers, including the first victim and his family, entering the airport after disembarking the plane, through the violence in both the airport terminal and the pay station. This allowed a clear and accurate picture of the facts and the events placed before the jury, who have today determined the actions of Mohammed against two female officers and a member of the public to be criminal. Like we didn't know that already, guys. Like we didn't know that already. But look, guys, the jux and the crux of this, it's like, yeah, we know hitting police officers is against the law, but the reality is now this footage of him striking that officer, the gentleman, the male officer, he was the arresting officer, and they've not come to a conclusion about him. So what is it, guys? Are we allowed to throw our fists at the Are we allowed to throw our fists at police officers if they come to arrest us and we don't hear them say, I'm a police officer? Or are we not? And the reality is we don't know right now, because there's an active case, and the ramifications of this are going to be far and wide. Right, let me jump up and get some comments, guys. Let me jump up and get some comments. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's well. Joe Masepo is saying, good evening, Sean, because Joe Masepo, I believe, is in New Zealand. Tina Donnelly is saying morning as well. Good morning to you, Tina Donnelly. So is Air Hammond. Joe Masepo is saying, did you hear Kash Patel is in New Zealand? No, I didn't. I'm in Wellington for work, and he walked past me with men in suits. There you go, guys. There you go. Kash Patel is in New Zealand. I wonder what he's doing in New Zealand. What is he doing in New Zealand, do you think? What's the real purpose of that meeting? Who's with him? Guys, we say this all the time. When these world leaders go for meetings, they often have the entourage with them. Well, I guess Kash Patel would be in his own rights. He would be one of the entourage. He'd be one of Trump's entourage. But, when these people go for these big meetings, it's not the person themselves, it's who's going with them as an entourage. We talk about this when we talked about, I don't know, on the other platform. We talked about spying, and who do you, we all have this image of spies being wearing tuxedos and having Aston Martins and fancy watch with little grappling gun on the watch or something. You can swizzle around. The reality is, if you want to so I'll give you this scenario, guys, right? So you want to spy on a country, right? You want to find out what the, look, guys, I'm just making this up, right? You want to find, I'm making it up because it's an easy one to follow. I don't know if this has ever happened. But the scenario, guys, is the scenario I'm talking about. So you want to spy and you want to find information on, for example, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, right? So you can send your best spy into that country. You can send him in there with his tuxedo, with his watch, with his little gadgets, with his Aston Martin. You can do that. And then what you can tell him to do is you can say, right, James, right, Raven, right, let's pretend this guy's called Raven. You can say, right, Raven, what you need to do is you need to find information on the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. So, right, wow, how do I do that? Well, you've got to build up a network. You've got to build trust. You've got to gain his trust. You've got to get in there with him, and then you've got to question him. Right, okay. It's going to take years. Literally, guys, that sort of stuff takes years. Or what you can say is, when Tyson Fury went over Saudi Arabia and he was having a boxing, I think he was having a box. He was with who was he boxing? Alexander Usyk. When he's over there and he knows that the Crown Prince, he's going to be rubbing shoulders with the Crown Prince. What you do then is you say, right, Tyson, get in here, mate. The government called Tyson and they say, right, mate, listen, this is Raven. He's going to come with you as your entourage, as one of your trainers, as one of your fitness trainers, as your fitness coach or something, you know, and he's going to be with you when you're at your like little drinks party after the fight. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. That's it. Fine. And then straight away, I'm already in that fold. I'm already in that, I'm already associating with that type of person. So, and then once you've got that proximity and you're at a party and people have got their guard down, that's when loose lips sink ships, and that's how you do it. So, who else was going with Cash? That's what I'm saying, guys. That's what I'm saying. Who else was going with Cash? Chair is saying, I'm scared to go for walks on my own. I need a big dog. Chair, where do you live? Do you live in one of these, do you live in one of these scary places? I think we're talking about, we're obviously talking about fitness. Air Hammond is saying, I heard Bruce Lee dropped dead because he was too fit. Really? Is that, do you know what? Let's Google this. Let's have a little Google this. Do you know what? I don't know. Let's have a Google. Bruce Lee died at the age of 32 in Hong Kong under mysterious circumstances. The cause of death is unknown. I'm just reading this, guide. I'm just reading this. The cause of this is unknown, although numerous hypotheses have been proposed, from assassination by gangsters to the more recent suggestion in 2018 that he died from heat stroke. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think if you're fit, you will, guys. Look, if you're fit, you will deal with things a lot better. Like, I'm talking about, like, if you get injured, if you get sick, if you need to recover, if you are fitter, you will recover a lot better. You will deal with those. You will just deal with everything a lot better, guys. All right. Marie Gen X is saying, good morning, Sean. Creepy Queen is saying, only just got noticed that you were on YouTube. Right, guys, I guess we're on now. Can you do the things again? You know, I've said that already before. I'm not going to keep asking you. Creepy Queen is saying, what have I missed? Listen, guys, I was talking about here the first rule in crisis, and the first rule in any crisis is get your fitness up, get your cardio up. As soon as you start doing this, you'll feel better about yourself, and you'll want to do more. And the best, of course, I can tell you guys to go to a CrossFit gym, take up jiu-jitsu, take up kickboxing, blast your cardio. You need to be doing 12 kilometers in under an hour. I can say all that, but the reality is everybody's at different levels. And the main thing if I had to say something if one thing to change things for people's lives, I would say do 10 press-ups in the morning. Don't go to the toilet. Don't go downstairs. Don't click the kettle. You do nothing. As soon as you get out of bed, drop down and do 10 press-ups. Everyone can do 10 press-ups, can't they, guys? Let's face it. Everyone can do 10 press-ups. And if you can't, do 5, do 4, do 3. Work your way up to 10, but no more. No more than 10, guys, all right? Because you want to have that, as soon as you wake up, you want to get that blood flowing in your body. Gen X is saying, nearly as bad as getting jail for shouting at a dog. Yeah, I think we're talking there about the Manchester airport, guys. Listen, we are into the 5th day. We're into the 5th day of the, we're into the 5th. No, we're not into the 5th day. We're into the 4th day. We're to the 4th day of the, let me go on X and see if I can find any updates on this, guys, because we are into the 4th day now of the Manchester airport trial. Remember, I want to save that. Not everyone, both the brothers haven't been, the brothers have not both been, the verdict's not been reached yet on the brothers, on both the brothers. They've only reached the verdict on one brother. Hang on, guys, give me a second. Spell that wrong. Let's have a look what X is saying, guys. Let's have a look what X is saying. Right, yeah, there's lots of people. Guys, look, I'm looking at these X posts now, and I'm just seeing, like, I just think a lot of these X posts are by bots. I really do, guys. I really do, guys. I think a lot of these X posts are by bots. And listen, one thing that people are not like, I think people have forgotten about this, guys. We've still got Ricky Jones's trial, haven't we? Remember Ricky Jones? Can we all remember Ricky Jones? Can we all remember what Ricky Jones? Let me find a video of Ricky Jones and we'll play it. Let me find a video of Ricky Jones. I think that's his. Let's listen to what Ricky Jones has to say.
Shoot! They hurt! We've got children and women using those things. It's doing us so wrong. They are disgusting, nasty bastards. And we need to hold up those guys.
So he says, so Ricky Jones is saying we need to, do you know what, I'm not even going to say what Ricky Jones is saying because I may get this live, I don't know how the TikTok, I don't know how the YouTube thing is, but I wouldn't say that anyway. But Ricky Jones is saying we need to cut all their something and get rid of them. So like, if that is not like, so let's compare that to what Lucy Conley said, a tweet that she removed. And when I think about Ricky Jones, I also think there's a woman stood to his right. She looks like a bit of a Karen. She's got short blonde hair and she's got an orange viz vest on. And she's laughing like if it were me, I'd be like, right, you need to be done for treason. She's laughing and she's going, ho 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 ho. It's just ridiculous, guys. Like, imagine, remember, I don't know if you guys were on the beginning of the live stream or not, but we were talking about, what was his name? Lord Haw or William Joyce. So we've got this guy, William Joyce, who was hung for he had a radio station in the Second World War, and he was hung for broadcasting anti-British propaganda. Can you imagine if we applied the same legal standards to these guys? Like, it's unbelievable. I just found, guys, it's absolutely fantastic. But look, guys, his trial starts, I think his trial's on the 11th of, I think it's on the 10th or the 11th of, I don't know. It's sometime this month. I've got the 8th in my head. I think it's the 10th or the 11th of this month, guys. His trial starts. So who knows what's going to happen there, ladies and gentlemen? Who knows? Linda is saying, good morning. Oh, Chair lives in Wakefield, and Wakefield is Wakefield, I think Wakefield must be a very, so Chair is saying, listen, guys, how do you feel? How do you feel going for a walk in your local area? I know a lot of people are, whether this is right or wrong, guys, I'm not going to cast judgment. But I know a lot of people are worried, scared about going for walks in their local parks because of the mass migration that's happened in the United Kingdom. Now, where do you live, and would you feel safe? Like, guys, can you put in the comments where you live? Would you feel safe going for a run, going for a walk somewhere? And like, what would you be afraid of? Like, for example, the other day when I was running, there was some guy on a bike. And he just parked the bike in front of me. And I thought, right, hang on a minute. So where do you go with this? Where do I go with this now? I'm probably like maybe 5 or 6, maybe 5 kilometers at the most. I couldn't have been any further because the run was only like 10.6 kilometers. So I was out, the maximum I could have been away from my car would have been 5.3 kilometers, I guess. And some guy, he was on a bike, he was bike riding, and then he just stopped in front of me, and he was looking at me as I'm running towards him. So I thought, right, well, where do I go with this? So I ran up to him and I moved him out of the way. I said, I tell you what, mate, I'll move for you, shall I? And he said, oh, sorry, mate. And he was fine about it. But, I understand, and then I was thought, oh, God, and I thought, what have I done here? And then I saw all his mates were like, he had a load of mates. They weren't like bike riding mates. They were more like chavvy mates. And I thought, oh, God, are they going to come after me now? And then I started to think, right, I'm out of breath. I'm running. I don't need to break into melee. But then I thought, well, do you know what? I'm actually warmed up and, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I understand, if you're out running, if you're out running, you're naturally, your cardio's, you're using your cardio, so you don't have that, you won't have that burst of strength to sprint away because you're using your cardio. But yeah, where does everyone live in? Would you feel safe walking around your local area? Morning, Linda. Morning to you as well. Enslave 86 is saying, morning, Raven. What have I missed so far? We're talking about personal fitness, guys. We've been talking about personal fitness. We've been talking about how people used to get hung for saying anti-British things. We've also been talking about the Manchester attackers trial. We're in day 4? Is it Thursday? Yeah, we're in day 4 of this trial now. Still, there needs to be a retrial because the main crux of this trial is that gentleman, guys. The main crux of this trial is that gentleman, guys. Okay, that the gentleman police officer. What's his name? Zach Marston or something. Zachary Marston. Because if it's the case that we're allowed to throw hands at police officers if they don't identify themselves when I mean, can you imagine this, guys? Can you imagine this, right? Imagine this scenario right now. Imagine this. If that guy, if Mohammed, right, if good old Mohammed in his little blue tracksuit, if he would have only hit PC Marston and then ran off and you couldn't find him again, like, he might not even see jail time. Well, he might not. He might have not guilty on that. And if people understand this, and if this law is passed as a precedent, guys, it's just gonna I do think everybody understands the ramifications of this. So I do think there's gonna have to be a retrial. I really do, guys. I think there's gonna have to be a retrial, and we need to know once and for all: are we allowed to throw hands at police officers if they come to arrest us and don't identify themselves? I don't know the answer. I thought that throwing hands at any police officer was a crime, regardless whether they were identifying themselves or not. That's what I thought previously to this trial. But this trial has shown me that maybe, if a police officer goes to arrest you and you don't hear them say, I'm officer 12345 and I'm arresting you on suspicion of thought crime, then you can throw hands on them. I don't know, guys. I'm 50-50 now because the jury has not come to a decision, so I don't know. Joe is saying, apparently, Kash Patel is in New Zealand because the FBI are setting up a permanent field office in Wellington like they do with all Five Eyes partners. I mean, I think that would be, I don't know what the strategic location, I don't know what the strategy behind that would be. Linda Clark is saying, I can't even get on the floor, let alone do 5 press-ups. What I'm getting at here, guys, is when I say do 10 press-ups as soon as you get up in the morning, if you can't do press-ups for whatever, do 10 squats, do something as soon as you get up. It's about being disciplined. Carol Easton is saying the Ricky the Slasher Jones. I mean, why is it taking so long, guys? Why? I mean, listen, Lucy Conley's almost a year into her sentence. Carol Easton is saying Ricky Jones' trial starts the 11th of August. And guys, listen, if you don't know who Ricky Jones is or what he said, I'm just going to play you the audio now.
Children of women using those friends is doing so wrong. They are disgusting, nothing.
So he's saying they're disgusting something. He's saying really bad words, but the icing on the cake comes in a second. He says we need to cut over, and then he says something else. I'm not gonna say what he says. You guys know what he says. And then get rid of them. And then there's this woman to his left, or as you're looking at it, the right hand side of the screen, and she's just grinning like a Cheshire cat. And she's not got shot. She's got up in the bobby. She's going, yeah, and she's clapping like a lunatic, And I'm like, excuse me, love. Do you, I'd like to say to her, right. Do you know when, do you realize that, at some point they will come for her? You know, they will come for her at some point, and she's clapping. So it's unbelievable, unbelievable. Literally, guys, Turkey's voting for Christmas. I can't listen to this, guys. I can't listen to this. You know, these useful idiots, they're going to be the first people. They are going to be the first people to get taken down, ladies and gentlemen. They are going to be the first people to take it down. North is saying, if you are outrunning, people don't have to move for you. So North is saying, if you're outrunning, people don't have to move for you. Do you know what, North? If I'm outrunning, all right, people move for me, all right? When the Raven is outrunning, it's like the parting of the Red Sea. Anybody in front of me, I don't move where I'm going. No, people move for me. That's how I roll, all right? Cars, tanks, airplanes, buildings. I expect it all to move for me. When Raven's running and I'm hitting on all cylinders, everyone gets out of my way. They know that. People should know that, all right? When I'm running, people need to get out of the way for me. So the context is everything on this, guys, right? The context is everything on this. North is saying, well, if you're outrunning, people don't have to move for you. So what I'm saying there is, you know, I was outrunning, and there was a bike, like he could see me running, and he stopped in front of me, all right? So I was like, yeah, I ain't moving, get out of my way. And, you know, I moved him out of the way politely, but a little bit aggressively as well. Anyway, so yeah. KK is saying, Edinburgh, yes, I would with my house keys and metal water bottle in hand. North is saying, seems you can if you have Pakistani heritage. Oh, seems you can if you have Pakistani heritage. I don't know what that means. North. Can you give context to that? North, can you give context to that? I don't know what that means. Linda Clark is saying, I live on a park, have to keep the back door locked during the day because people run through the garden as a shortcut, get away. Do you know what, Linda? I had the same thing. We had the same thing when we moved into this house. People used to use the garden. People used to use like part of the garden. I fenced it off now. People used to use part of the garden as a shortcut to get to the fields. I don't know if you've watched the videos when I'm walking in the garden, we back onto fields. So like I put a fence up and people kept like climbing over the fence. So I put a bigger fence up. People were like squeezing their way around it because people used to walk their dogs. But after, you know, it has died down now. And like, I totally get that. People used to walk through our garden as well to get to the fields. KK is saying police should all be wearing body cameras. The relationship between the police and the public has turned toxic. Yes, I agree. Due to dishonesty on both sides. I don't all police wear body cameras anyway. I mean, I was walking, I did a live stream actually like last week or something, maybe this week, I don't know. I think it was last week. I did a live stream walking around Rotherham Town Centre. And one of the things I was shocked with was what were they called? Civil enforcement officers. Like, and I've been around, guys. I've been around. And one of the things you noticed when you go to the when you go to the Middle East, when you go to places in less developed countries, is like the mannerisms of the police there, the mannerisms of the security forces there. And, when I was walking around, I saw these civil enforcement officers and they were akin to what I'd expect to see as police walking around, anywhere in Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, anywhere, any one of those Middle Eastern countries. And I was just like, wow. But even these, what I'm getting at is that even these civil enforcement officers, even those guys had, the cameras on them. Kevin from Chicago is saying, when is the last time you've personally splurged your pants? When was the last time I personally spurged my pants? I don't know. It's probably when I was in the army once, and really drunk. But like, to be honest, I don't think I've ever done that. No, I don't think I have. I know a lot of guys used to do that in the military, but you know, I wasn't one of them. But you know, I know it is a thing. But thank you for that question, Kevin from Chicago. When was the last time you splurged your pants? Oh, and somebody here says, free Palestine, biatches, biatcha. Well, free, yep, okay, free Palestine too. So, like, you know, with this free Palestine thing, guys, look, I totally, like, you know, people think, like, Sean, I know what's going on. And it's not a war by any means of like anybody's imagination. What's going on in that region of the world is not a war. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I can't, like, if you guys want to know what, and I mean, like, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the word Armageddon, like the Battle of Armageddon, like it's the end of the world type of stuff. It comes from Mount Megiddo, which is, as I understand, it's in modern day, I think it's in modern day Palestine. Just a little context there. So, but if you live in that part of the world, like it would be very difficult to say that you're not witnessing literal Armageddon, guys, you know, because like some of the things that are happening there are absolutely, like, you know, absolutely disgusting. Now, some of the chants that I would, but you know, and I'm not advocating anything. I'm just giving you guys this, you know. This happens, you know, and I'm not talking about the conflict now. I'm talking about the build-up towards this conflict. So, you know, people are saying, you know, like people, you know, the Palestinians want the Israelis to get off their land, get off my land. You know, the Palestinians want the Israelis to get off their land. Now, would it be fair to say that British people want certain people off their land as well? And would it be fair, for example, for me to go into some places in the United Kingdom and say, like, well, I'll just give you one of the chants. It's settlers, go back home. Palestine is not your home. They have that little drum beat, that bum, 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 bum. You know, so would it be fair for me to go to some places in the United Kingdom, some places in London, some places in Leeds, outside in Bradford, you know, and say things like, you know, do an equal chant to that, saying, you know, settlers, go back home. Great Britain is not your home. Would that be fair or would that be racist? I don't know, guys. I don't know. Where are we going, guys? Where are we going? Yeah, listen, guys, very true. This is a very true statement. You can be critical of the Israeli government without being anti-Semitic. I absolutely agree with that, guys. I absolutely agree with that statement. Mephis, I can't pronounce this. I can't pronounce this word, guys. I can't pronounce this word. Says, run at me, you will get my elbow in your mouth. Listen, whatever your name is, all right? You stand in front of me when I'm running, or if you stand in front of me when I'm walking, all right? Good luck with your little elbow. Good luck with your little elbow, all right? Good luck with your little elbow. Right, guys, if you're putting something in a comment, please contextualize it, because as I'm going through the comments, you know, it might be a little bit difficult for me to understand, like, the whole what we're talking about. North is saying, put glass on your walls, folks. Stops idiots trying to climb through. KK is saying they don't wear body cameras in Scotland. Well, look, I don't know about the laws in Scotland, but didn't I hear something? Didn't we hear something about Trump becoming the first minister of Scotland? Let's just do this, guys. The US president says he could be eligible for the job of leading the country. He claims is crime-free, but right now John Sweeney is doing a great job. I mean, honestly, I think I'd move to Scotland. I really would. I think I'd move to Scotland and then be screaming for independence. North is saying, let's not worry about other countries. Let's look after our own. And you know what? I couldn't agree more. Yeah, okay, guys. Look, yeah, we're just going to leave that. If you're going to be, ladies and gentlemen, look, if you're going to be silly, there's plenty of other channels out there. We're talking about real things now, guys. Okay, so guys, I'm gonna reiterate again what we were talking about today. All right, guys. The first rule of any crisis, all right, get your fitness up. I don't know how many times I can say this. I'm certainly not going to be. I'm not going to be filming myself in the gym. It's embarrassing. It's ridiculous. It's not what I do. But look, guys, whatever level of, whether that's walking up the stairs twice every time you want to do something, whether that is, whether you might be a marathon runner, and you need to work on your upper body. You might be, you might be a cyclist and need to work on your your biceps. People used to say I had cyclist arms. Say, Sean, you've got arms like an Olympic cyclist. So whatever that is, guys, get your cardio up, get your fitness up. It literally, guys, get that discipline and just start doing it. Start doing something small. Start doing something small that you enjoy. Also, we are into the 4th day now. We're into the 4th day of the Manchester. Excuse me. We are into the 4th day of the Manchester airport attackers trial. She said there were comments in anger. Oh, I'm not going to leave that. Right, yeah. So lots of people, I'm just looking at the comments here, guys. Lots of people are comparing lots of people are comparing what Lucy Conley did to what these guys have done. We've got this Ricky Jones trial. It's all bonkers right now, guys. It's absolutely bonkers. I don't know this trial of Ricky Jones, I don't know how long that trial is. I don't know how long the Ricky Jones trial is scheduled to last. But, it is coming this summer, and it's going to be in the front of everybody's consciousness when we're thinking about this. And then I want to talk to you guys about, I was thinking the other day, like yesterday, I was thinking, right, how have we got to a stage in the United Kingdom where these violent attacks, on police officers. And again, I'm going back to, I'm thinking about the Chris Carber incident as well. So you guys know Chris Carber. He was shot by police officers. He was unarmed, but he wasn't unarmed. He was in control of a car and he was using the car as a weapon. And then I was thinking about all the anti-British propaganda that literally the media does now. The media, the mainstream media, throw and spout this anti-British propaganda. And I was thinking about. I found this guy, William Joyce, Lord Haw, who used to broadcast anti-British propaganda in the Second World War, and he was hung. He was hung for treason. He was hung for treason on the 3rd of January 1946 at Wandsworth Prison. And I was just thinking, if we held those, what's the word I'm looking for? If we held those standards now, if we had those standards now, we would have a totally different country. And look, guys, I'm totally against hanging. I really am. I don't think that unaliving penalty I don't think it should be a thing at all. I do think that lifetime in jail should mean lifetime in jail in the most horrific circumstances that, not the most horrific circumstances, but not in good circumstances. You don't go to jail like I know some people do. I've been watching some videos and stuff, and people are, people in jail, they have PlayStations, they have, think about this, guys, all right? Just imagine imagine, right? Imagine this, right, guys? You're a migrant, all right? You're in a hotel. You've got 4 walls. Somebody brings you your food. You don't pay any taxes. You've not got a job, and you're surrounded by dudes. That's if you're in a hotel. If you're in prison, You've got 4 walls. Somebody brings you your food. You're surrounded by dudes. You don't pay any taxes. You don't have a job. Like, what is the difference? So, like, where is, like, you know, so people come over to this, like, so, you know, there's no, I don't think there's, like, for some people, for the criminals, I mean, certainly for me, guys, I ain't going to jail. No, jail ain't for me. I do think for some people, realistically, I don't think jail is any sort of a deterrent. In fact, if anything, like, you know, people go to jail, they don't have to pay taxes, they don't have to tidy their, you know, they don't have to tidy their room, they don't have to tidy their wherever they live or whatever, they don't have to do anything. It's kind of a cop out for some people, and I know that's crazy to think. I had a friend who was doing. When you leave the military, you get money to go on courses, and he did a course in, I think it was criminology or something. He's Welsh. He's from North Wales, so not real Welsh, but he was doing a course on. He wrote a paper, like, I don't know, like a dissertation or something, and he wrote this on the parallels between sleeping. If you're homeless, you have less opportunities than if you're in jail. No, really, guys, I'm not making that up. So if you're homeless, I think about it, guys, right? If you're homeless, you are homeless, you've got no money, you've got no abode, you've got no roof over your head, and nobody's cooking your meals. If you're homeless, that's what happens. If you're in jail, you have all of the above, but then you have people, you know, you can go on these like projects that help like stop you reoffending. You know, I don't know how it works, guys, but I know in the jail system for certain offenders, you can do like welding or bricklaying or some sort of trade. And the theory of that is when you come out of said prison, you've got a trade to go into. So rather than committing crime, you can go into that trade. But if you're homeless, you don't have any of that. So, like, where's the incentive to be homeless? So, like, you know, you think about it now, you know, you've got somebody who's homeless. Where's the incentive for those guys not to commit crime? So, right, we're kicking people out of hotels, yeah? We're going to kick people out of hotels. All right, fine. Where are they going to go? Well, they're going to be homeless. They'll go back. No, they won't. They'll end up in the jail system, and they'll end up being a burden on the taxpayers again. So, like, you know, it's just it's unbelievable, guys. And I don't believe we should bring back. I do not believe we should bring back the hanging thing. So North says criminology, use that money well. Yeah, so so the guy I'm talking about, I'm not gonna mention his name because he might be watching. The guy I'm talking about, he had a mental health breakdown a couple of months after. And looking back, the signs of this was him trying to understand his own thought processes because he knew he was struggling. But anyway, it was an absolute waste of money for him. Linda Clark is saying, a young lad I know was in and out of Nick. Is this going down a Brokeback Mountain? Are we going Brokeback? Are we going Brokeback, Linda? A young lad I know was in and out of Nick. He had a terrible home life and got stuff in prison he could only dream of outside. I said he was institutionalized. He's older now and managed to change. Yeah, this is what happens, guys. You know, this is what happens. And you know what? I see a lot of this with the military as well. A lot of guys in the military, this is why a lot of guys struggle when they look, guys, it's difficult when you leave the military. When you leave the military, it's absolutely brutal. It's absolutely brutal. I went from a high trust. Let me caffeinate myself, guys. Let me caffeinate myself. I keep forgetting I'm allowed to caffeinate myself on here, guys. I keep forgetting. And 4 Paws, just quickly, 4 Paws is saying, I can assure you the North Walians are proper Welsh. But the North Walians, they don't really sound Welsh. When I think of Welsh, I think of a really good Swansea accent. Maybe from down the Mumbles. You know, where you can get 2 ice creams. Mine's the one in the middle. Like when I think of Welsh guys, you know, I think of South Wales and that accent. Like North Walians don't have a Welsh accent. They don't have a North Walian. The North people from North Wales don't have a Welsh accent. Anyway, guys, we're talking about institutionalization and leaving the military. So I think this could be a similar thing. Obviously, I've got no experience and I don't want any experience coming out of prison or jail. But I do have experience leaving the military. And I went from when you leave the military, you come from a high trust organization. You come from a high trust organization where everybody works for everybody. You know, if you say you're going to do something for someone, if somebody comes in, no matter how menial it is, Sean, can you do this? Yes. Right. All right. No worries. It gets done. Doesn't matter how ridiculous or whatever it is. If you say yes, you will go to the ends of the earth to do that. And you trust and you work for each other. You know, you can imagine it on the battlefield, can't you? If you don't have trust on the battlefield, you know, people are shooting, bombs are dropping. Sean, take 2 section, go right flanking. Yeah. Come on, lads, we're going to go left flanking. You can imagine, like, where's he going? And trust me, guys, I've seen similar things, but, you know, you can imagine on the battlefield how bad that would be. So you just don't get this, like, when you're in the military, it's a high trust environment. You work for each other. You work, live, breathe, and die for each other, potentially. So when I left the military in, like, what was it, like 2011, I don't know, like 2010, I think, maybe, beginning, I don't know, I think beginning of 2010. It definitely was beginning of 2010. When I left the military, the first business I started, I just thought everybody was high trust. I just thought that, you know, when people would say, yes, I'll pay you, they would pay you. But it turns out, if somebody says, yes, I'll pay you, and then there's a way they can skirt around it and not pay you, guess what? They will skirt around it and not pay you. And I think one of the lessons I learned the hard way, you don't, like in business, you don't learn any lessons the easy way. You learn them all the hard way. One of the lessons I think that, you know, one of my mentors, he said to me, Sean, in business, everybody is trying to get your money. And nobody wants to give you theirs. You know, I think that's like a really good lesson in business. You know, another business lesson for you guys, if you want to know. Nobody cares about your product. Nobody cares about your product. The only thing, and I've seen this in the military as well, in military procurement. In military procurement, nobody cares about providing the best kit and equipment. They only care about providing the kit and equipment that they can sell. And unfortunately, the stuff that they can sell is the stuff that's obsolete a couple of years ago because people understand it. Anyway, guys, I went there. But yeah, we're talking there about the, you know, prisons, getting released from prison, and how some people could be institutionalized in prison. And, you know, it is very difficult. KK is saying, I agree there needs to be more options for young people, linking them up with a job, sorry, I misread that. KK says, I agree there needs to be more options for young people, linking them up with a job, a trade, or training. Yeah, I mean, look, guys, you know how look, guys, quite a few of you, hang on, North is saying there's nothing for young blokes out here. Look, guys, I agree 100%. There's nothing. There isn't anything. There's nothing. I'm in the civilian world now. I live among civilians, and I concur nothing. And do you know what's destroyed everything? International investment. Yeah, people don't think about it, but trust me, guys, international investment has destroyed this country. So international investment in things like, I don't know. You know when Rachel Reeves comes up and she says, we have found 100 billion of international investment, 16.2 billion. And I'm thinking, stop. You know, an investor will look for a return, an investor will look for a return on their investment within 5 years. So after 5 years, profit is leaving this country. What I said, and what I've always said, guys, look, guys, a lot of you guys are, we're all right here. There's nothing for people out here. What I've said is, if I was in charge of the country, rather than sending millions and billions in overseas aid, rather than sending billions of money to, like, millions and millions to Pakistan, to India, to these countries that kind of don't even like us. Not India. I know we have good working relationships with India. What I would do is I would say, right, I think there are 230 constituencies in the United Kingdom. What I would do is I would say, right, rather than send all these hundreds and hundreds of millions overseas and we get nothing back, what I would do is I would say, right, every year, I'm going to give each constituency £1 million. And that £1 million is going to be up for grabs for kids that are leaving college. So not 16, but just before they go to university. Because, guys, look, I understand university is not for everyone. And a lot of things that get taught in university, like, for example, if you get taught electronics, robotics, aviation, drones in university, literally, by the time you start your course, the stuff you're learning is a couple of years obsolete. It's pointless. So you need real world experience. So what I would do is I would say, right, okay, if you live in, if you live in Doncaster, for example, and you're leaving college, you've done your GCSEs, you've just got your A levels, you're leaving college and you want to set up a business, right? We have £1 million as a fund. And we are going to use this £1 million to fund the top 1, the top 3, whatever those businesses are. We're going to spend that money on growing our local economy. But as a caveat of that, if you guys take off and you're massive, then you guys stay in the region and you employ people from this region. So what that does, if you live in Doncaster now and you're a kid and you're leaving school or whatever, you're leaving university, you're leaving college, you start a business. You apply for a grant from the government, from the taxpayers, and I wouldn't you support this in, investing in our own children? Those kids would then have an affinity with that area. That money would stay in that area. And as the local council, you support that business in the first year. So you're their first customer, you help them, and you try and grow that business. Whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. And then what you would do then organically, you would create wealth in that region, because rather than international investors coming in, investing, giving people minimum wage jobs, you're creating something. You're creating something, either goods, product, or a service. You've got something that you can then sell. Because ultimately, guys, the only way we get rich as a country, there's no other way about this. Ultimately, the only way we become wealthy as a country is we take another country's money. That is it. There's nothing else. Everything boils down to that, guys. It all boils down to international trade. Because if you think about the country of the United Kingdom as if you think about it, if you put it into a micro, how do you get rich? Well, you take somebody else's money. That's what you do. Now you can work for that. You can start a business for that. But ultimately, you don't get rich by taxing yourself. It's just the same money rotating around. It doesn't work. Guys, and unfortunately, people in government have no idea about basic, people in the UK don't have any idea how, people in the UK don't have any idea how to, like, grow the economy. And it's for me, being ex-military, having worked all over the world, it's painful to watch, guys. It's painful to watch. Monokrov is saying, currently in uni, took me 40 plus applications before I even got an interview for a part-time job, and another 10 before I got a job. Yeah, so, what is the, and again, no, what are you, Monokrov, what are you studying in university? What are you studying in university? But guys, listen, I get it. It's difficult. And one thing that everyone can do is get your fitness up, guys. Get your fitness up. Linda Clark is saying, my husband should be retiring today, but they can't find anyone to take his place. So they asked him to stay another month. That's the second time they've asked him. He should have left at the end of May. Linda Clark, I don't know what your husband does. Does he enjoy his job? I mean, I know I'm going to be working till the day that I'm like, till I'm well gone past 100. I know I'm going to be working constantly. I enjoy my job. I enjoy what I do. In fact, give me a second. So I enjoy what I'm doing, guys. I work with people. I work with people I have a laugh with. And I enjoy what I do. So I'm going to work constantly. I don't have a physical job. North is saying, I'm just here for the finance tips. We need to sort the boat situation. We need to man the army. Currently studying undergrad photography. Later on in the future, planning to take a medical photography studies if possible. I don't know, Monocroft. Is that not one of these industries that AI is going to take over? Because it is. AI is destroying a lot of industries. Oh, and Linda Clark says he's an asbestos surveyor. Right, okay, an asbestos surveyor. Potsinator, I think, okay, so Potsinator is saying, what's your job here? Look, guys, okay, at some point, I'm going to bring you with you. I'm going to bring you with me when I'm, not yet, but at some point, I'm going to bring you with me. I'm going to show you guys, Raven at work, but it's not yet, and it's not going to be disclosed yet. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, listen, guys, I'm going to keep this short. The crux of this live stream is we are into day 4 of the Manchester Attackers trial. We're in day 4 now, guys. Manchester Attackers trial, verdict day 4. We've had the verdicts for one of the brothers. The second brother, we've not had the verdicts yet. The main thing I think that people are missing about this whole thing is the gentleman that was assaulted. There's no decision being made on him. So we don't know, I don't know, and you don't know whether it is illegal or not to punch a police officer if they try to arrest you. Literally, guys, that is what it boils down to. And also, guys, all right, I can't say this enough. Get your fitness up. Under no circumstances in anyone, anywhere in the world said, realistically, with any realm of sincerity, nobody ever said the words, I was too fit or I'm too fit. I didn't get that role because I was too fit. I didn't do well at that because I was too fit. I was poorly and because I was too fit. It just doesn't happen, guys, right? Get your fitness up. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. Don't forget to like and share my stuff, guys. Please share my stuff. That's the biggest thing that you can do. Share my stuff, guys. I'll be back on at 8 and I'll see you later.